You had said something about the one of the trends is on-demand, hyper-personalized, Netflix-like advice.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? Tell me a little bit more about that moving forward, the future of advice.
Yeah, so I think about this, and my coach, Ray Scalafani, uses the word episodic, which I also think is a great way. So we're in a world now where I want what I want, and when I want it, I just pull up my iPhone and I access it. And so when I use the word Netflix, it's because I think it sets the stage for if I want to watch a show, I just binge watch it now, right? Or I watch a little piece of it because I'm in the mood for it and I stop. It's not like when I was a kid and I'm like, ooh, it's, Seinfeld's coming on or Friends is coming on and it's on from 5:30 to 6:30 every week, right? We don't have to wait for it to be there. So when we think about structuring our advice as clients, I think it's important for us as advisors to keep in mind that we live in a world of people consuming data, right? Whether it's entertainment or otherwise in a Netflix-like manner. And I think the research supports people do this when they're investigating big life events too. They get really absorbed into like researching about, financial things or Social Security or whatever. And so we need to think about having the ability to meet a client where they are, whenever they are, ready to talk about something and be ready to go, which means the different financial planning softwares out there are trying to do a good job of like letting people link accounts and staying on top of data and things like this. And I think that is going to be really important for advisors to interrogate the technology that they're using to do this, because your client's going to be on vacation somewhere and they're going to call you and say, hey, we just saw our dream house while we were walking on the beach. Can we just, what if we buy this now? They're not going to want you to be like, I'll run some numbers. I'm super busy. I can get you on my calendar in 3 weeks. Let's talk about it when you're home. Moment's gone. Whereas if you can be like, let's spend 30 minutes talking about it and let's pull up your cash flow projections and let's just see how realistic it is. There is good software out there for doing it. You don't have to be me and build your own. But I think you need to be ready to go as far down into the content as your client wants to consume it when they want to consume it. And then that episode is over and they're going to take back off and go back to life. And then something's going to trigger it and they're going to come back and they're going to want to go deep, or they're going to want an immediate answer on something. Right? So I just think it's a shift in terms of how we're going to move and the speed with which we're going to demand access to advice and content. So
that just sounds to me, and I might not be understanding it fully, but it just sounds like more access to the advisor, when in my mind, Netflix style makes me think of asynchronous communication. Is there anything asynchronous out there that can be delivered? Is that how you thought about it? Or is it just access to the advisor when they want it?
Yeah, so I think two things. The software we've been building at LifeWorks, we've been building it with the idea that the clients can play around in there just like the advisor.
Okay.
Meaning if the client wants to pull up the LifeWorks application and model out buying a home in there, they can do it without their advisor. And I had a lot of conversations with people across the industry about, well, you're just building a robo-advisor. It's like, no, I'm not. But what if somebody wants to just see if something's maybe even remotely possible before they spend their time or my time, asking me to weigh in on it? So I do think that you're right. There is a component about it, the advisor being ready to be accessed. The better layer is thinking about putting the technology in your firm or practice that allows the client to have some freedom to explore on their own, right?
Yeah.
They likely will vet the things they like and don't like and pull up the things that they want to talk about. But it's not a robo-advisor, because here's the thing, this already exists in robo-advisor land, and consumers still want to work with human advisors.
Right.
It's just, remember, robo-advisors were primarily built to drive model portfolios in a super efficient way around the idea of retirement or some goal. They weren't necessarily built to help decision tree type things like buy the house now versus wait. Now, some of them are getting better, right? But again, when you're thinking about your financial planning software, we've just been really working towards this goal, and we're not there yet, of saying how can we empower our clients to be able to go in there and engage with this data the way that they want to, and then raise their hand and be like, hey, Ron, we've been playing around with this and we want to talk about this, right? We think this is the most likely scenario. Or we saw this as possible, but can you make sure we see this? Are we seeing this right? if we can get to that spot, one, we can then drive financial literacy for clients because we can get them to start thinking and engaging with planning the way we do, but maybe on a slightly less sophisticated level. And two, I think we build better clients. So
Ron,
that's what I mean by
it's
that's what I
always-
mean by that. It's a very big picture concept, but I've just been thinking about this, like everything else we consume in life, at least for me, is, again, it feels like it's when I want it, how I want it, and the speed with which I want it.
Yeah, I get that. Same. Yeah, that's what we're used to. You've always got you've got a great futuristic mind. It's always great talking.
Well, and I'm in my wannabe tech entrepreneur
yeah,
look
you
today
know,
with my hoodie and all this
What am
stuff.
I
So
doing with this suit coat on?